Welcome back to episode 6 of the Sit Down with Saxon podcast, also on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about what's been happening in 2024 and also what's ahead for brokers and the insurtech/AI of insurtech market. The title of this episode is Time to Pivot to Digital, What's Ahead for Brokers. So let's get into it. Right, looking at my notes over here, I'm going to read from my notes this whole episode because I've done a load of planning and I want to share with you guys what I've learned in 2024 and what's hot and what is not. My inbox gets filled with news about insurance and insurtechs. There's mergers and acquisitions happening all the time, as we know. There's also a bit of a boom in the insurance industry with what's going on with technology in the insurance industry, because notoriously insurance as a whole has been quite manual and traditional and a bit backwards, but we're making up for it. 2024 was a good year. 2025 is going to be another good year. And I just see all this news unravel and it hits my inbox and I'm looking at American news and British news and so on. But there's a few issues that I want to talk about with regards to the direction that insurtechs are going, and I'm not sure it's the right one. So everyone's at it. Insurance companies or insurtechs are trying to get a slice of the market. Some are doing extremely well, some are not. But are they trying to be something to everyone? And that's the theme of this episode, is are the insurtechs that are launching into the market just trying to be too much to too many people? And I've got some examples of this, what's succeeding and what's not, and perhaps my opinion on this as well. So there's a big issue, and the biggest issue is that now this market of insurtechs is becoming very congested. It's had massive VC and private equity money pumping into this market. There's some clever people out there being the founders of these insurtech businesses. But what's their background? Like, are they techies, or are they insurance brokers, or are they underwriters that are creating MGAs that are a bit more digital focused? Like, who are the people at the helms of these businesses? So it's common knowledge the insurance market is slow paced, like I just touched on. It's very traditional, and gone are the days of the leather wallet going into Lloyd's, well, maybe nearly. So what does that mean for the future of insurance brokers like me? And I want this podcast to help other people like me as a founder of an insurance broker in the UK market and further afield to see how all this affects us as brokers. We know that insurance is a very niche market, and the brokers need to give a hands-on approach and a service. And yes, an element of that can be digitalized, but is that the way it's going to go only? Is AI going to take our jobs? Probably not. What happens when there's huge complex risks that need a human and the knowledge that's in the brain of that human to help them out with that? Surely digitalizing all of that is not possible. So we're in this pivot period where we've been old-fashioned for many years. It's a very old industry. There's been a boom in insurance technology, and not pulling that away from like the policy admin systems now into more of the insurtechs, and using AI. So all of us, actually, brokers and the rest of the insurance market, it is time to pivot. So we've got to do away with that, and we've got to move with the times, and we've got to use what's available to us to make our businesses stay ahead of the curve, get ahead of the curve now, and we've got to use all of that to advance us in the right direction. There's a saying, the best startup solves your own problem. So what is the problem for an insurance broker in 2025? Perhaps it's the number of emails I get with insurtechs launching. Silicon Valley still has very deep pockets. European firms are attractive to American businesses, especially British now because the pound is weaker. Israel seems to be coming up with lots of excellent startups. They've got some brilliant minds over there. But we can't ignore this fast-paced market. AI is being used daily in most firms. How often do you use ChatGPT now? Probably quite a lot, like me. Therefore, we can't ignore this market and AI agents that can even make phone calls for you, and they can even do your customer service through a chatbot and so on. So the boom of AI agents is going to happen in 2025. Not to mention things that have been made very difficult for us in this year and the year ahead. The UK budget, which makes us as employers think differently about how we have our staff and the headcount. Can AI, even if it did 50-60% of someone's role, replace a human? And I think the answer is yes. So you might hang on to some of your good staff, but rather than recruit more, you might look at alternatives that are available to us as employers that are AI solutions, or even perhaps trimming down some of the headcount. If you're Aviva and you're buying Direct Line, there's already going to be thousands probably of job losses. Now, a company like that can surely invest in AI to cover off some of the workload that those staff members have or did do, or currently do. So let's look at some insurtech stories. We'll go through these. I'll put all the links in the description below so that you can go and check them out as well. These are the top 5 insurtech success stories that ChatGPT has told me. Number 1 is Sure, then we've got Oscar Health, Root, Next Insurance, I like that one, and Coalition for cyber insurance. They were the fastest growing insurtechs in 2025. So let's just see what they do and see if there's a bit of a theme around what they do. So Sure app is an underwriting workbench for insurers and MGAs, and it prides itself on the ability to launch products fast. That's its strapline. Now, if anyone from the insurer market has worked with someone like Acturis, they'll know that 1, is super expensive, and 2, is quite a lengthy process to get a digital product launched onto the platform. There are a few alternative platforms that have tried to make that less costly and quicker, but I don't know, I don't know who they are really, and their legacy systems, so they might not be that dynamic. Sure app apparently is doing very well at that. Oscar Health is direct-to-consumer healthcare in the USA. There isn't much more to say about that. They're just doing very well because that's big business over there, as we know. Root Insurance are car insurance for good drivers using smartphones to gather data. Now that's clever, isn't it? Why are insurers not using wearables and consumables like phones and things you can wear on your wrist more to give data and feedback to see how that risk is? Some are doing it, but why are they not doing more of that? Next Insurance, 100% digital small business insurance in the USA, with the ability for small brokers to have an agency and sell their products to customers. So that's quite unique. That's an insurtech that's built products, and because they have good relationships with their insurers / carriers, as they call them in America, then they give other smaller brokers who don't have those relationships access to those products to earn a bit of commission, but also just make more sales because they couldn't facilitate that beforehand. No wonder they're doing very well. Coalition and also Next Insurance marketing is quite funky, so you should check it out, because what I do is I generally scope out businesses on Twitter, because Twitter is, say x.com, is where it's at for technology. So social media like Instagram, TikTok, these insurtechs are not really using those platforms, but they are using the platforms such as X and LinkedIn. So I usually scope out there, and these guys are doing pretty well. Coalition, cyber insurance for brokers to sell their customers, using a digital platform that's quote and bind. Yep, that's quite cool. There's definitely, I've done a huge analysis on the main largest insurance brokers in the world and what products they do sell on their website. And you'll be surprised, I'll go through this on another podcast actually, because it's really interesting. You'll be surprised how few of the brokers offer a digital product on their website that is quote and bind. But cyber being a sort of IT digital product, it's quite easy, and they do seem to have a lot of cyber products available for quote and bind. Right, that's a real mix, and naturally there is one theme that they are all digital, so that's good. But is there a flaw in most insurtechs' approach on who they are trying to help? This is what I was getting at earlier. So Business Cloud report, there's a link below, report on the top insurtechs for 2024. However, the theme that I've recognized or identified is that most insurtechs, not all, most insurtechs that are doing platform things rather than direct to consumer type of business are targeting insurers, MGAs, and brokers. Let's have a little think about that. Is that the right angle of attack? Does an insurance company need to have the same kind of system that an insurer does, an MGA does? And does an MGA need to have the same kind of system that a broker does? And does a broker need the same kind of system that an insurer does? Now, obviously they can build different elements to the system for different types of businesses, but I've spoken to a major insurer who has moved to a new platform. I'm not going to name names, and they've turned around and said, it's okay, but this platform as an insurer isn't really fit for purpose. It's more made for brokers. So my question here is it really possible for an insurtech who's building a platform to cover the whole value chain of insurance? So insurers to MGAs to brokers and customers at the end of that as well, business and commercial. And I don't think the answer is yes. So I'm not going to say I'm right, I'm not going to say I'm wrong, but it'd be interesting to do a deeper dive on this kind of insurtech that's trying to tackle too much, let's say. Are they trying to just bite off more than they can chew with the whole? Should they niche up and have a specific platform for a specific type of in business, which could be an insurer, an MGA, or a broker? I think the answer is yes. It makes most sense. And also think forward to when they might be marketing and selling that product to a business. Do they want to say, well, we're a master of none, a jack of all trades, master of none, or we only do business for this kind of business? And insurance is a huge industry, lots of verticals in it. So how are they going to market that? That creates a lot of problems, I think, for the marketing team to understand how to get their message out to the right audience and get the right conversations without upsetting the person they're trying to talk to, who says, well, it looks like you're just jack of all trades, sir. Anyway, that's one to sort of watch, because I think it's a bit misleading sometimes how these platforms get massive amount of venture capital money and they can just almost go and do what they want, and you don't really know how they're performing because all they're doing is running on debt. So how long that takes to sort of use up and create revenue from, are the VCs happy with that? And how long does it take to make revenue above or break the line into profit making? I mean, look at Lemonade. I don't even think they're profit making yet, are they? They just run on so much debt. I could be wrong there, but it's an example of an insurtech that's run on a lot of debt, let's say. Okay, that's just an analysis of what's going on in the insurtech market, who's doing really well, where the flaws might be, and let's just see how that pans out over the next year, let's say. Okay, that brings me on to the next part of this podcast, which is actually about us. So selfishly, Sit Down at Saxon talks a little bit about our business as well. And I'd love to tell you about what we've been up to outside of our day job Our day job being protecting the world's most valuable assets. We insure huge classic car collections, big art collections, watch collections, homes, kidnap and ransom, everything a high net worth individual would need insuring, we do. So we've been working for the last couple of years on scoping up a platform ourselves. Now, you might be like, well, hang on a minute, you've just been talking about all of these platforms that exist, and why would you go and do your own thing? And I'll tell you why. I spoke to lots and lots of different platforms because we want to get some digital quote and bind business going for certain categories of business. And I spoke to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 I've got listed on there. They are insurtechs / policy admin systems with a quote and bind functionality. And there's a flaw in their system as well. Now, the flaw is that they are also trying to be too much to too many people, businesses. And what I found when we were doing this huge analysis on all of the providers that are available to brokers like us is that they didn't do enough of what we needed them to do. And then that makes you say to yourself, scratchy head moment, like, what are my options here? Well, that is the buy option. And the other option is you build. Now, if you want to go build, that is a monumental mammoth task of getting everything into a piece of paper to then give it off to a developer or 2 or 3 or 4 to get prices of all for that work, for that scope of works. And then have you remembered everything? You're a small business, you don't have a tech firm, you don't have a compliance business, you don't have this, that, and the other. Have you covered enough? What do you do now? Like, these costs come back and you bulk at the cost and you think, holy moly, this is expensive. Like, maybe I should go back to the buying option. But when the buying guys want 10, 20,000 for implementation, then they want a slice of your revenue, then they want a monthly fee as well. It doesn't take long before you actually realize that you might only need to run it for 1 year or 2 years, let's say, on the buy option before you've paid for what could have been a build option. So you've guessed it, we're going down the build option. And actually we're nearly there. So we spent a long time scoping up what would be the most perfect system that sits on our website. So as soon as someone clicks the quote now button, from that journey onwards, we have built a system. Now, we are launching our first product on this, and it's going to be in a certain sector, and we are planning to launch even more products on this, which hopefully will be binding authorities. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to prove this concept. So this is what we call an MVP, which is a minimum viable product. And we're going to prove the concept, and then we're going to roll it out to other brokers like you. Now, what we're going to do differently to all the other platforms that we ever see, and what we've spoken about on this podcast, is we're going to give it to brokers only. Now, brokers will have the option to access our panel of insurers, but we might also give them the option of adding their binding authorities and products onto this platform for them to access, and potentially other brokers to access who have signed up for the system. Now, here's the niche. The niche is we are only going to launch this to brokers like us who need help, who want to move their business more into the digital world. They want and have products that can be bought as a quote and bind product. We have the most slick referral system, so that even if something falls slightly out of appetite, you can jump on it, you can underwrite it, and you can send it back to the customer. So actually, this sort of stuff I just told you is not on my notes, so I don't really know why I'm telling you this, but it's just an idea about what we've got coming, and we're going to prove this concept with us, and we're going to roll it out to others. 2 years later, one huge scope of work's been put together, one massively impressive rating matrix. Now that is what took a lot of time for us to build. We're not relying on anyone. We did it all ourselves. We've got huge algorithmic underwriting taking the customers through the journey. The designers have built this massive Figma file, and if you don't know what Figma is, it's just a design platform. It's huge. It's impressive as well just to see that program working. Front end, back end built, a massive database, so like postcodes, occupations, all of this data that affects the first product we've put together. That took years. The rating matrix has probably 20 tabs on it. The master database for the system has about 30 tabs on it, all referencing, all working while someone's going through that quote and bind journey. So it's impressive, and I can't wait to show you guys what it looks like in real life. And yeah, that's that. Right, I'm gonna wrap this one up. It's 20 minutes sort of in. I hope you really enjoyed it. I'm at home, it's Christmas time, and I thought I'd get some recording in this space. And just to let you know, I'm gonna use these videos and podcasts to analyze the insurtech market, because I'm really, really interested in it, because now we're actually operating in it as well. I'm gonna check who's doing what to give you guys an idea, a snapshot of all of the great stuff that's happening in insurtech and where you might be able to benefit from these platforms, what's working, what's not, see if there's any shift in that theme of our insurtechs trying to do too much for too many people, and also see where AI is going. We've got some AI in our platform, and we are already thinking way ahead on what other AI products, even the chatbot chatbot we are teaching now, that's going to be another one in there. And just see where AI and AI agents go. Specifically, this year is going to be, or 2025 is going to be the year of AI agents because of the Labour government. Not just because of that, but you know where I'm going. Plus, you'll see new digital products on our platform and how we work with them. I'm going to probably do another video about like what was really difficult with this build, what was really easy, what took loads of time. And effectively, if you're a broker like us and you want to do something like us, believe me, don't do it, because it is painful. And I'm not saying I regret doing what we've done, but don't waste your time doing it, because you can use what we've built and it'll be probably, respectfully, far superior because of the length of time that we've taken on this to do this and build everything together. So that is my wrap up of episode 6. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you made it this far, and let's just see what comes out on the next few. I also want to talk next in the next few episodes about decision intelligence. Now, what do you know about that? Well, stay tuned and you might learn a bit more.